It's all finally off. Every layer came off, even the ceiling. After weeks of steaming and scraping and cleaning, finally down to the bones of this old room. Okay. There's an interesting chalky blue paint underneath the wallpaper, and the wallpaper was very warm, but this paint is very cool, and this cool palette is kind of growing on me. It's not what I had in mind exactly, but this was what was originally on these walls, and now that it's all off, I can see that it was a very delicate, beautiful look. The unglamorous but vital part. I am mixing up a bucket of Dirtex. This is the step that no one shows, but it's the difference between a beautiful paint job and one that flakes. It's satisfying in its own way, cleaning away almost 100 years of dirt and grime, but it's very important. Once you steam the wallpaper off, there's residual glue, and that glue and little bits of paper, they have to come off so you can get a nice smooth paint application, so the walls will take the paint nicely. You'd be amazed how much glue is still on these walls. So I prefer to use Dirtex. You can also use TSP. Dirtex is like a less toxic form of TSP. I have a whole video about it, but the main reason I use it is you don't have to rinse afterwards, and with TSP you have to rinse the walls, and I just as soon not go around this entire room twice. Once will be quite enough. I really want to create the hand-painted border, likely from the 1870s, that we discovered beneath the wallpaper. There's some complications though. I think they did some repairs to the plaster in the 40s around the edges of the room, and unfortunately they covered up quite a bit of the stencil with new plaster. It seems like, what is that stuff called? Portland cement? It almost looks like Portland cement. So I've come up here with some tracing paper to try to trace what I can of the stencil, and I'm going to send it away to a place that will make a new stencil for me. Enough of it remains that I can reconstruct the full design, but I've realized that these pieces of paper aren't going to be adequate. I'm going to have to get a roll of tracing paper so I can get a longer sample of it. I'll send it out and have a stencil made, and then we can bring it back to life. Just that little bit of wall washing has made the water extremely dirty, so when I'm doing this I change the water very often and don't use a whole lot, but a gallon and then 2 teaspoons of Dirtex, and I change it every few feet or so because it's so dirty. So originally I had imagined a warmer look in here, kind of similar to the wallpaper with like a warm creamy yellow, but I do want to get that Swedish look, and honestly, a lot of Swedish country style, the colors are quite cool and light. I think it has to do with the way the light is in Scandinavia, but this bedroom has beautiful natural light. It's a south-facing room, and so that does really give me a lot of flexibility with colors because southern light is very warm. So I think we could do some cool colors in here and not have it look too cold. I'm thinking about it. I'm planning to use milk paint from the Old Fashioned Milk Paint Company. Their paints are beautiful, and I painted my boys' room in their federal blue, and my bathroom in their soldier blue. And we've been really happy with how the milk paint performs on the walls. Now, the walls in my bathroom were not raw plaster, but the paint stuck to it just great. The walls in my boys' room, as in this room, they're very porous, and the milk paint just sinks into them, and it has this beautiful heritage modeled appearance that I am obsessed with. So I've been looking at samples on their website, and hopefully I'll be testing some very soon, and I'm really excited to share my journey with milk paint with you. My boys' room was the first room I ever attempted. The only thing about milk paint is it's slightly messier to work with than a standard bucket of paint from the store, but it cleans up so easily with water, and it has such a gorgeous, authentic look that the tiny bit of extra steps are well worth it. The colors are historical, and I'm pretty sure that originally in our house things were painted with milk paint because everyone was using that kind of paint back then. Originally, I thought I'd paint this room a warm, creamy white because that was the background of the wallpaper, and I loved it. But now that I have all the paper off the walls, I'm really thinking of a cool blue and then a warm, like vermilion pink, which is the pink on the stencil. Milk paint has such a beautiful matte finish. It feels right for a house this old. I've learned over the 10 years that we've lived here that the house really tells me what it wants to be. You think you're steering the project, but if you listen, the house will really show you the way. So this room might end up being a lot gentler and more delicate than I expected, and that is great. I love going with like my intuition, but it's like the house and what makes sense for the house. And the more I work on it, the more when there's decisions to be made, I think I'm getting better at really being in sympathy with the house. Now that the walls are clean, it's going to be time to bring color back to this room. I'll have to paint the trim first. Oh, there's a lot of trim. And then after that, do the walls and start transforming. Thanks so much for coming along on this journey with me so far. I have a lot more European country style content coming your way, so please like and subscribe so you don't miss any of the yummy content. And if you want to dive deeper with me, I've got a membership where we go more behind the scenes and we go in depth and talk about all of these things in more detail. So check that out. I'll link it down below. Thanks so much for watching. I'll see you next week. Take care. Bye for now.